Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another segment of the Cash Geeks Network. Super pumped today because I want to say today I'm going to have probably one of the biggest investors I've ever had on the show. And I'm super pumped for that. My team and Scott, I'll bring him on here shortly. We connected, I want to say, a couple years ago at the IMN conference. Kind of been following this guy from the sidelines, and his company Rebuilt is just doing amazing things. I feel like it's what a lot of the kind of bigger wholesalers want to aim for. And so I'm super pumped today to have him on. Scott, let's bring Scott on. Scott, what's up, man?
What's up, G? Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks,
Good
thanks.
to see you.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming on. It truly is an honor and a privilege to have you on. Get to pick your brain. I'm sure a lot of people would pay a pretty penny to pick your brain. So I, I get to
You
do
flatter me.
I get to do this on a podcast in front of a lot of my audience. So I appreciate you doing this, man.
Awesome,
Uh,
man. Absolutely.
so let's just get right into it. Scott, you're based out of Lexington, right? And
Yep, Lexington, Kentucky. Go
you own,
Cats.
go Cats. You own a company called Rebuilt, and the story of Rebuilt is phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about what Rebuilt is now, and then I want to get into the build of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebuilt was really started as a way to source deals for our own SFR portfolio. Um, we were paying wholesalers a fortune and to bring us deals. We were the buyers, right? And so we thought, well, we could probably do this ourselves, save on some of the fees, and so really started as a side hustle. Something to kind of generate lead gen for ourselves off market. Currently, we are in 12 markets. We have in 6 states. We actually just launched Houston, so that's our 13th market. Um, and then in line with that, I'm the chief growth officer. So as a co-founder, I'm one of the more, I guess, entrepreneurial type spirits. I'd never worked in corporate America. So I'd always started businesses. Prior to this, I was wholesaling textbooks. I've kind of been assigned the responsibility to start new businesses that complement the cash offer business. So we have Rebuilt Offers, which is our cash offer component and our wholesale business. And then we have National Title Services, which is our title company that facilitates and helps us process all the transactions. We have Rebuilt Capital, which is our lending arm. And then we actually just launched a brokerage, Rebuilt Brokerage, Rebuilt Realty. And we still have an SFR portfolio. We've sold off a lot of that inventory as the market was kind of going crazy.
Yep.
We recirculated a lot of that cash. But, we're always still looking to buy more for ourselves. And one thing that is really cool to work at Rebuilt, we're actually hiring in all of our markets, is that we'll teach you how to think like an investor, how to source deals. We really want to incubate our own investors through our employees, and have them learn how to analyze deals, source deals from Rebuilt. We'll lend them the funding, we'll handle the title work, and they can participate in the technology that we have for other investors as well.
Got it. That's awesome, man. And so, as far as you said you're in 12 markets, 6 states, right? Your primary focus right now, is it wholesaling? Is it wholetailing, fix and flips? What are you guys mainly focusing on right now?
Primarily wholesale.
Okay,
98% of our transactions are straight wholesale deals.
got it.
Uh, and really, the marketplace that we launched, the wholesale business seeds that marketplace with Rebuilt inventory only currently. However, hopefully before the end of the year, there'll be a plug-in for other wholesalers to post their inventory on the website or on the marketplace as well, and then other investors can bid on that. But we're primarily wholesale and then title with we attach title to about 90% of our transactions.
Got it. Okay, okay. And as far as the wholesaling goes, so let's talk about the marketplace, right? So you guys recently put out how can people find the marketplace?
Yep, it's marketplace.rebuilt.com. The first time you visit, just sign up, create an account, and from in there you can see all of our deals that are active, pending, and sold. and you can filter by market and filter by status. You can even filter by like bed, bath count, price point, whatnot. But most of the times, people are just filtering by location and then whether it's active, pending, or sold.
Okay. And if you can see that at the bottom of the screen, Scott, can you confirm that website is good?
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome. So right now,
Thank you.
your the only deals on the marketplace are rebuilds deals, right? And
Yes, I think we have 68 right now currently active.
so how many deals are you guys? I think like last time we spoke, you mentioned last year you guys did like 800 something deals.
Last year we were right shy of 600. And
600.
so, we were tracking, this year with the macro environment, I think if we can get back to 650, 700, we'd be pretty happy with that. Along with the technology build out, we've really hired a great management and leadership team that's fairly new, just within the last 30 days. So we're excited to have them on board and to help us build out. So just really this year, we're taking the time, we formed a lot of bad habits, like I think a lot of people in a hot
Yeah.
market.
Yep.
And so it was just easy, right? You just get a deal, you throw it on Facebook, and 100 people, or 5 or 6 investors are clamoring over it.
Yep.
Not the case anymore. So you really have to work at Dispo.
Yeah.
And so that's been a big major focus for us. We realized too that we had no transparency into the disposition and the bidding process on the buy side. We knew who our sellers were, their demographics, their zip codes, the price points, because you build that stuff out with your marketing campaigns.
Right.
We had no idea who was bidding on these properties and who was winning the bids and who our
Mhm.
investors were, primarily because it was all handled at a local level. They just called the local rep in the local office and it wasn't recorded anywhere. The really nice thing about the marketplace from a data capture and just user experience for us to be able to create better products is now we can see who's bidding, who always bids, how much they're bidding, who wins the most bids. One KPI that we really try to push is like multiple bids per property, so that we make sure that we're getting good deals out there and that people have the ability to not we really don't want to create an environment where it's highest and best, because I know investors don't like that. We
Right.
struggled with that, trying to figure out what's a win-win there. But
Yeah.
definitely the marketplace gives us transparency to all the back end of the buy side of the business, which is really important.
That's always, not to go off on a tangent, but I'm just curious at a high level from your business. That's always been a tricky thing with Dispo, right? Highest and best. Do I take the first offer? Some buyers, most buyers kind of get iffy. We have
Mhm.
buyers sometimes that are like, as soon as they find out there's going to be multiple people at the showing, they're like, dude, I'm just not going.
I'm out. I'm
Right.
out.
And it's like, well, shit, like, how do you, right? Like, that's always the challenge. Even, for the small guy and even people as big as you guys, how do you guys like, I know it's not a perfect answer, but like, how do you guys try to navigate that?
Well, if you have 10 people that want to see the deal, you probably underpriced it, right?
Yep.
That's kind of beginning. You want the sweet spots like 3 to 4.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, it is tricky because you want to, one thing we identified, last year was just that our core customer is the mom and pop investor. It's not the seller. Who are we building these products for, and who are we trying to cater to? And it's the investor. And so that's the most important relationship. So you really don't want to burn bridges by putting them in highest and best situations. And it irks me and it hurts me when people say, yeah, man, I try to get a deal from Rebuilt and I can't ever get one because it's always like, oh, well, let me see, let me check. I'm not sure. We got other people going. Um, in my opinion, and we're working towards this, is just having maybe an auction type type scenario, where they can make the bids online, similar to an auction.com platform. Because as a fiduciary to the company, you need to generate the most
Correct.
revenue. So it's a
Correct.
do.
Yep. Yep.
So if
Yeah.
you figure it out, let me know what works.
Yeah, dude. It's always tough, especially when like, um, you got the VIP buyers, they want that special treatment. And you can, when I say like special treatment, it's like, hey, I know that if I pick up the phone and call this one guy, he's gonna buy it.
Hmm.
Right. And so that's always hard because you got maybe 4 or 5 other guys that would also do the same thing. Who do you pick, right? Do you
Right.
pick on the first deal? Do you not have a VIP approach and just, let everybody give the opportunities? Is that the more fairer thing? Um, there's no perfect answer, right?
What we've considered is having a VIP, more of a subscription model, though, for a flat rate per month or something. You get 24, 48-hour access
Right.
before anyone else.
Yeah.
You get discount on title and discount on lending.
Mm,
Try to package that stuff up into like a monthly SaaS subscription, and that way, you can either be pay to play or not. You can just have a clear shot like everyone else.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's interesting, man. It's always having people on the show is just interesting to see different people at different levels and then the challenges that you guys have to deal with, as far as creating your own marketplace, and then creating a SaaS company to work with your investors. Like that's just next
I
level.
mean, that's really our $1 billion vision, and what I think will propel the company to IPO or acquisition is going to be the technology, right? Um, the ultimate vision for that is that it's almost like a Shopify for real estate investors. So you can be an investor in California, bidding on property in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, Through there, you can apply for the lending. We'll handle the title, and then we'll have the option for construction and property management and insurance companies to plug into the platform, and so you can
Got
get for those things, kind of take it, A to Z for the whole process.
Right, right. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And so what is the end goal? Right? Is the end goal to, get acquired, go public, right? You mentioned a couple of those things.
Sure. Yeah. Well, everyone in Rebuilt has stock. All of our builders have stock. So, as an owner of a company, it would be irresponsible if we didn't consider offers that were to come across our plate as we grow this thing, right? Because we want everyone to become, uber rich from this
Of course.
initiative. They work their butts off and they deserve it. So, um, we're just grinding every day, just trying to get better, trying to build out and staff these offices with the right personnel. The field officers are a really important component of what we do. For one, they're revenue generators,
Yep.
and the other thing is that it seeds the marketplace, because with no inventory, investors aren't going to come to the marketplace, right? So those things are really important components. But definitely, we would look at acquisition or IPO or anything. We would we would we would be ignorant not to, right? And so we have to always have that stuff in the back of our mind.
Right. No, I love that. So what is I guess the main focus, right? As far as you guys have a lot going on, right? You said title is now in 40 something states.
Lending's in 46, titles in 23.
Got it. Okay, okay. Sorry, I had those numbers. Okay, so
No worries.
lending, title, brokerage, right? And then you have the wholesale marketplace, wholesale bread and butter, probably, right?
Right. The
Uh,
the wholesale business side is definitely our main focus. It's
okay,
the revenue generator.
okay,
The marketplace subscription stuff is free for now. We want investors to join. We want it to be free. We want it to be free for wholesalers to post their deals on there, right, to get
right.
exposure. So we just need to get the user base up on the marketplace. I
Got it.
think right now we have about 3,500 active users, and we really only been promoting it for a few months now. So I think we could
Right.
hit 10,000 by the end of the year for sure.
Yeah.
My main focus day to day are those other initiatives, like you mentioned, which is the title company, the brokerage, the lending. And so I spend, some time with our title. I really am lucky. We have a great head of title and a great title team. I don't have to do a whole lot. We weekly sync, but they can pretty much handle that stuff A to Z, and then I promote title to outside parties. So I attend masterminds. We built the title company for Rebuilt, but we can do title in 23 states for other parties. And cool
Right.
thing title company is that we do 1031 exchanges, we do novations, we do double closes and separate settlement statements. So we are actually investor friendly title company. We use Qualia for our back end software, so that's nice because people can log in and see kind of where their deal is in the pipeline, if payoffs have been ordered, what we're waiting on, and it just adds a lot of transparency. We really use a lot of technology in the title company, so we're using remote online notaries to close. We're not having the traditional like sit at the closing table across from the buyer and seller. Buyers and sellers really never meet in our transactions.
That's awesome. So main focus is still blowing up the wholesale,
Wholesale.
right? And you mentioned you guys are actively hiring for that. What does the squad look like, right? Just curious as far as like a wholesale mammoth handling 600 plus wholesale deals, right?
Yeah.
Um, what does that look like? What does acquisitions look like? Dispo, TC, marketing channels, all that. You don't mind getting into all that?
No, not at all. We have about 75 employees right now, and I think about 15 or 18 open job recs. We have the leadership team, which, there's a director of marketing, a VP of sales. There's you can't forget about that one. That's super important with that many people. So there's a lot of, there's finance, VP of finance. So they kind of at the senior leadership level. And then from there, everyone has their own teams. So like HR has their own team for payroll and benefits and just for hiring, the recruiting side of the business has become a huge, huge push just to get these interviews filled, group style interviews with like 50 or 60 people and then try to whittle it down to
Yep.
about 10 people. And then we use an assessment to really see if they pass to the next level to get that. But
Are you,
that's
um,
recruiting for the field offices.
sorry, just to ask on that. Are you guys using PI?
We are using sales architects. Steve Richardson and Indy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Steve's a buddy of mine, and he turned us onto that, and we've been really happy with it. So Team Architects is great, and
Yep.
they've done a good job with that.
Yeah, that's
So that's
awesome.
the one we're using, and then on for the local field office, depending on the market, we'll usually have 2 to 3 acquisitions and then one dispo, and then the dispo guy handles dispo for all the acquisition,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then we also have a central dispo team. So when a contract comes in, central dispo is doing a lot of the outreach to VIP buyers, and they're just kind of that next level of monitoring the marketplace, making sure bids are recorded on the marketplace, driving activity, making all the Facebook posts with the deals and things like that.
Got
Like I was saying earlier, you used to not have to work at dispo, but now you have to actually pick up the phone and call people and say, "Hey, I saw you got this one, or you own 123 Main Street. Are you interested in 456?"
Yep.
And try to. I think it's just because they so many deals. I mean, you're probably on all these lists too. Like you just so many come across, and it's hard to really desktop underwrite all those and know what's a deal versus what isn't a deal. So
Right.
having someone call um, outside and just say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you on this one," goes a long way. Because they say,
Huge.
"Yeah, I got the email, but I didn't really know. I didn't look at it."
Well, yeah. I mean, even that, like, even if you're constantly tracking your open rate on your email, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, I sent out 10,000 emails, so you could feel like you reached out to 10,000 people, but you look at the open rate and it's like, hey, 400 people opened them, so that means 15 people actually looked at
Right.
it, right? Most people just open it because they want to mark it unread or whatever, right? Get it off of their
Yeah, 100%. And
and
that's one thing Central Dispo does a really good job at. We run a report after the about 24 hours and look at who all opened it and how many times they went back to
right,
it.
right,
And
right.
those are the ones we're calling
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
owners and say, "Hey, we saw you open this 11 times.
Hmm.
Give me questions we can answer.
Yeah.
Where would you be at on it? Kind of get some feedback that we could take back to the seller if we need to
Right,
retrade."
right. And so I remember you guys are mainly belly to belly sales, right? Is-
Yes, that's a big difference, I guess, between Cash Geeks and
Yeah,
Rebuild. It's,
yeah,
we do everything for the most part in the home.
yep,
Brandon, my partner, and I, we cut our teeth in door to door sales. So that's always the way that we've known to do it is to sit at the kitchen table across from Mrs. Jones and do a sales presentation and make an offer, kind of a one call close, if you will, making sure
right,
that everyone's there and We have something that we try to cover before we go on the appointment. We call it the PANT method, PANT, and that's just an idea of price. It's an acronym. Idea of price, authority. Are we meeting with the person who has the actual decision? And there are going to be other decision makers that we need to include. What is the need? Like, why are they selling? And then what is the timeline? So we want to know all of those things: price, authority, need, and timeline before we actually go even and sit down with them in the home, and make sure that they're ready to make a decision today. Now, it's easy when you were selling books like Brandon and I were. It's not as easy when you're buying a home. That's
Right.
a bigger decision for people. So there's obviously a lot of follow up that still is
Of course.
required. The money's in the follow up, as you know.
Yeah. Hey man, in this market, we had to incorporate some live appointments, man.
Oh,
And
did you? Okay, good. Do you buy them a little deeper, build a little more trust, or?
definitely, I don't know if we're necessarily buying them deeper, but I will say that our close rate, I think we're at about like 50% as
Oh,
far
wow, that's amazing.
as point. But we're trying to lock them up over the phone first. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then if
Mm-hmm.
we can't or we feel it, right? Like because now there's scarce opportunity, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we can't just bank on the next one, right? Or we don't want to, right? We
Right.
we want to try to make every
You need to convert as many as you can.
correct. And so like for example, we just set up an appointment today where our max is like 135 and the seller's at 145, right? Usually in those instances, we just go for it on the phone. If we can't get them, then we'll just follow up with them in a month or whatever, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
now, like if we're that close, we're like, hey, let's go take a look at it and see if there's something that we're missing. But as you know, like you get to the property, you spend an hour with them, you're talking, maybe we see something where we can squeeze 140, we get them down 5 grand. And that's been a lot of how we've been make the deals
That's
work.
great.
And it's been working. So
Well, the success you all had with over the phone is amazing, and we've actually stood up an inside sales team now, and we kind of do the opposite. They are more running like if something falls out of the follow up after 7 days and hasn't been touched, then our inside sales team picks it up. And I'd really like to get them involved earlier. Like, hey,
right.
I saw you went on, or you had an appointment with Gonzalo yesterday. I'm customer success. We're just following up, seeing how the appointment went. Eric Brewer said something that I thought was really cool. He said he has somebody call and say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was our offer? They say, oh, usually like a 5, a 6, or something. He says, what can we have done to make it a 10? And the thing that they will tell that person in customer success might be totally something they wouldn't have revealed to the sales rep when they felt they were getting. And it's like, well, if we can do that, would you sign? And they're like, yeah. So um, I think that getting someone involved post appointment quickly as more of like a management or customer success. Hey, did they show up on time? Did my rep, were they wearing the rebuilt hat or shirt? Were they professional? And then asking about with the real objection, trying to figure out why we didn't sign, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. No, I love that. Um, so I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that also breeds a certain type of individual that you have to hire. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Somebody who, because I feel like for me, when we're hiring over the phones people, right? We're trying to target people who have had experience in phone sales, call
Mm-hmm.
centers, you know what I mean? Call center environments, phone sales environments. And because that's a big thing for us. Like we can't just bring in a salesman and put him in an office all day,
Right.
right? Like you have to be a certain type of salesman.
There's some technology you need to know if you're using the phone
Right.
systems. Absolutely.
Technology,
There's
but all that we have to take into consideration, and I feel like that's a different avatar in the hiring.
It is
Right,
100%. We're looking for people that have had alarm sales experience,
right. Okay.
pest control, door to door experience. Like the company I worked with, Brandon and I in college, Southwestern, we sold educational products door to door. So somebody's not afraid to approach and to be rejected a lot, to be quite frankly, that it doesn't get to your head, that hey, it takes me, 5 sales calls to make a sale. You I just had the last one told me no. You just told me no. I know that the next one's going to tell me yes. Kind of mentality, is super important.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you guys are based out of Nashville, but you're in, 12 markets, 6 states.
Hmm.
What does that look like? Do you have, like, sub offices, or is
Yeah.
it just one main office, everybody else works from
So the
home?
HQ is Nashville. We have a contact center in Nashville. So all the inbound seller calls come through Nashville, and then they set appointments for the local field offices on a shared calendar. There's about a dozen folks in the contact center, and then we have inside sales team there, which is around 3 or 4 people. HR is there, which is 3 or 4 people, and then all the senior leadership team is there, outside of myself and our VP of sales, who's in Austin, Texas. So, and then the field office is going to have more, and all our tech team, a lot of them are in Nashville. And then our field offices have, like I said, 2 to 3 acquisition, one dispo, and then we have a regional sales leader that might have 3 offices under them. So leader may sit in Cincinnati, but manage Louisville, Lexington, and Cincinnati.
Mm,
And
got
so we try to make it in like little pods where
Yep,
everyone, has some leadership in each office.
gotcha. So I wanna get a little more into some lessons learned on your journey. Um, as far as, like, scaling to, 'cause you guys haven't been in the industry for, like, a crazy amount of
I
time, right?
started investing in 2010,
Right?
but and then just as an investor, buy and hold and fix and flip. And then we're buying from wholesalers 2015 to 2018, really for our own SFR. And then in 2018, started doing some wholesale. Really, I mean, we had a college textbook company, so we wholesaled textbooks. And then that started going flat in 2018 because a lot of that was moving digital and online.
Yeah,
And so we had all these rental properties, but they were leveraged because we burned in and out of them. So they didn't kick off a ton of cash.
yeah,
And so we really started the rental or the SFR or I'm sorry, the sending out letters to source for that SFR. But then as the income started to go flat in the textbooks, like how can we generate cash? 'Cause there's 3 families, 8 kids, 3 wives that like expensive things. Like how are we going to support that with the textbooks going away because the rentals aren't kicking off enough? And we thought, well, we're getting so many leads. We can't buy all these properties anyway. Let's start assigning some in our network. And quickly we're like, man, that's super scalable. And so from 2018 to 2020, we really was Lexington, Philly, and then we had opened Nashville early 2020. That's where the partners are. Brandon was in Nashville, Al was in Philly, and I was in Lexington. And then when COVID hit, we really had no choice but to close the textbook company because we were locked off of college campuses. And we took our best sales reps and said, hey, you know how your job's kind of being eliminated by a global pandemic? We can't get to college campuses. Would you like to hear about real estate and kind of this rebuild thing we've been doing on the side for a couple of years? So we had just kind of been a side hustle from 2018 to 2020. And so they were like, yeah. And then that's what led us to open up Austin, Chattanooga, and some Knoxville, and some other markets where we had people that were buying books with us. We said, hey, we can teach you real estate. You're not afraid to approach people. And it kind of just took off from there. And we thought, wow, this is actually something we could scale.
yeah. That's amazing, man. So what are some of the challenges scaling, right? As far as, because most people think, I mean, with credit, right? Like scaling is 100 deals a year, right? To some people that's scaling. Uh and then it can grow from there, right? So what are the challenges that took you from, like, 1 to 200 deals a year to 500 plus?
The biggest thing is not trying to scale too quickly. I mean, that can bankrupt you. And we've faced issues like that. And it made us really thin at all levels of the company. We didn't have good training, we didn't have good personnel and right people, right seats. And you're just spending all this money on marketing and nothing's converting because you haven't like trained people correctly. So, one of the biggest lessons to us was go slow to go fast. That was the first lesson that our board really kind of one of the investors on our board had told us. that because when they first came in the first board meeting, I remember we're like, oh, we're going to open, another 10 markets next year. And they're just like, hold up. Your way to, it's like Al, Brandon, and Scott, you're all involved in every layer of the company right now. You have to go find leadership and the right people and get them in the right seats and train them correctly and take this year, and it might even take another year to build the foundation and go slow to go fast. And that will be the key. And so that made us it actually took a lot of pressure off of us because you think when VC or private equity comes in, they just want like more, 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 more. But these guys that's in the movie before, they were 51% owners in OfferPad when they took, OfferPad when they took them um, public in 21. And so they kind of take. And so that was good to have that board of advisors kind of tell us like, hey, don't try to go too quickly. Make sure that your foundations and your processes and your SOPs and your training and stuff are in place. Now, do we have it 100%
Right.
now? It's always being refined, and we always joke that we're building the plane in the air while we're flying it. But that would be one thing: is just don't try to scale too quickly because it'll definitely bankrupt you. Make sure you're comfortable and you're squeezing everything out, for the most part, and with what you're doing in the current.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like that was honestly looking back, I feel like that was one of our challenges, right? Where we just kept throwing money at the company just to do more deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And bottom line didn't really matter. It's just like, are we doing more deals every year? Awesome. Eventually we'll make money, right?
Right.
And if you have
We're
that,
still in that boat.
and so it's it can you can definitely get carried away with scaling too quickly, uh,
Mhm.
and not looking at the kind of like core principles, right, of running your company. And so kind of like you said, for the past 2 years, you could just kind of throw any deal out there, and you're not worried about sales training, you're not worried about culture, you're not worried about dispo, you're not worried about are we pricing our deals right, how are we tracking our buyers. You don't care about any of that. And then a couple
You
changes,
nailed it, man.
yeah, couple changes, and you're like, oh shit, we the 10 VIP buyers that we were calling to sell everything are just not buying right now, or
Right.
they're waiting till next quarter, or
Hmm.
they want to wrap up what they have. Is like, oh shit, I got to call another 10 guys, and I haven't talked to these 10 guys because for the past year we've only been selling all of our shit to 10, 15 people, because they would buy everything that we could send them.
That's right.
Um, it really, a couple people got caught with their pants down.
Yep.
Um, I would say this is one of those times for us as a company to just worry about the basics. I want to get into some marketing if you're cool with
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. I got a
We
bird down there. Shut the door.
we got someone trying to break into your house,
I
man.
guess so, man. Trying to get my bourbon collection.
You're giving you're dropping too many nuggets, man.
That's right. They done hunted me down.
Some of my viewers are like, I gotta find this guy, but yeah, we're just sticking to the basics, and one of that for us was different forms of marketing, right? We've relied on one form of marketing forever, and you just could back then, and now we're testing out different forms of marketing and expanding that. So what are you guys doing for marketing right now? What's working?
Man, we're old school. Our primary source is still direct mail. It's
Okay.
kind of one thing we've done from the beginning, and that we've just refined and started doing a lot better.
Yep.
We're measuring, and I've gotten a data scientist really, on staff that's helping us dive into like what price points are actually converting, and looking at not just hunches, right? Actually looking at trends and making informed marketing decisions, which is
Right.
finally a relief. And then we also do cold calling. So we have a team that we use for cold calling. We outsource that to a third party. And then we have some VAs helping us do texting, and then they pass those leads over to the contact center. And then we do some light PPC. We haven't gotten into media like radio and TV. I'd say we will. The pushback I get from our marketing department is that we don't have a lead problem. We have more of a conversion problem. Like we have lots of leads at
Right.
the top of the funnel. So, and our board was excited about that. Even when, Q1 numbers were revealed at the Q2 board meeting, they're like, you guys have plenty of leads. You just got to fix down the funnel
Right.
and increase conversion. And then having other, um, products to pitch, like the brokerage and things like novations and creative deals, definitely is a way to convert some of the same leads
Right.
that you've already paid for. So getting, having other products like that has been a kind of a game changer for us.
Okay. How much of that are you guys doing? Like as far as traditional wholesaling versus creative stuff, owner finance up to novations, retail.
Not a ton. I mean, we still do 98% cash, but the main reason is because that stuff's kind of advanced sales, and we have a lot of new salespeople, right? So we're trying to get people just comfortable making the cash offer. We're getting them stood up to get their real estate license. The
Got it.
main reason we want them to get their real estate license is for our brokerage. We don't want our cash offer agents swimming in the same lane as the retail agents. So we actually bifurcated those so that a cash offer agent can say, "Hey, Mr. Jones, it sounds like you want the most money and you're not looking to sell very quickly. You got some time. This would be a better solution for our brokerage. Let
Right.
me, Gonzalo, he does all of our retail brokerage stuff. Let
Yep.
me call you tomorrow and then you all could talk price and what that looks like. And then by them being licensed, we can actually pay that cash offer agent a commission
Yep.
listing is closed. So they don't make as much on the retail, which
Right.
just because it's only a percentage of a
Yeah.
3%
And they're
spread,
and they're just referring it also.
and they're just referring it.
Yeah.
But that's by design as well, because we don't want that
I love that. Yeah.
cannibalizing the cash offer, because the cash offer is where it makes more money for the
Correct.
company
Correct. Yep.
and,
No,
and them in turn.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And I love that. You gotta separate it. I totally agree with that. Right. As far as like you can't have the person going in there and just be like, hey, I can do this and I can do this and I can do that, you know? Um,
Confused customers never buy. So
correct.
you just have to keep it super simple. I mean, and some of the people we talk with, if you start even getting into the creative stuff, you better know it front and backwards.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
brains
I was gonna,
love
yep.
it.
And I was just about to get into that. Not only, does it mess up the customer, but now your rep has to be trained and knowledged on 4 different exit strategies, and they have to be able to, to know everything on everything, and it just makes scaling and training way harder.
There's only two people in the company that we've trained on novations, and they're in the customer success side. They're the ones that are following up if something didn't convert in a cash offer and looking for another option. And the only time I really have them talk anything creative, like an owner carryback, is with the landlord,
Yeah,
someone that's
yeah,
sophisticated and a great line we always like to say is like, "Mr. Landlord, there's a reason banks are the tallest building in every city. They're the ones that make all the money. I'm going to have to finance this thing one way or the other.
yeah,
I'll be the bank and I'd rather pay you." And
right,
it helps deals done. I had one last week. The guy wanted 275. We're at like 225. And I'm showed him like, "Hey, if you carry this for 5 years, we'll pay you $10,000 a year in interest. You'll get to 275. You're 275 after 5 years." So just kind of showing that stuff on paper is, it's a little more challenging, right? It's only you need like a certain group of people that can do it within the company.
right, right. I agree. I agree. That was always our challenge.
It's a
Whenever
huge opportunity though, especially right now with rates being as
I agree.
crazy as they are.
I agree. And there's a lot of people that are overcoming some of those scaling challenges, right? There's some people that are doing it at a bigger scale, but you got to have that, like you said, that elite squad that knows what they're talking about. Because every deal, I was just talking about this to somebody yesterday about this. Every deal is different when it comes to creative, right?
Hmm.
Wholesaling, it's like, hey, this is ARV, this is where we need to be, and that's it, right?
Right.
And yeah,
That's
you
it.
maybe play with
Simple.
that number, right? Like, this is more of a rental property. Maybe we can offer a little bit higher. So that's really the only nuance. But when it comes to creative, it's like, okay, 5-year balloon, 10-year balloon totally changes the whole game, right?
Yes.
Bigger down payment, smaller down payment changes the whole offer. Interest rate changes the whole offer.
100%.
So it's one of those things where like anytime I've tried to do any creative stuff, it always falls back on me, right?
Hmm.
I got to analyze the deal. I got to figure it out. I got to explain it. Um, and so we've just never really
It's hard to scale something like that, and the people that have, power to them. I just we don't have the bandwidth to like dive into it as much as I would like to,
right.
because I do think it's a huge opportunity, and we're missing out on opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
what are some of
just
like
not with focus.
what are some of the biggest challenges that a company like at your level faces right now?
I would say onboarding and sales training has been a huge one, and recruiting was for a long time. I mean, we were kind of born out of COVID, and that created, a challenging hiring situation for a lot of companies, not just us. And so we've really struggled to find the right leaders, to find the right personalities to help us grow. And we made some mistakes even as early as this year in, thinking that just because someone's good at one position, they might be good at the next position up, and not looking at their body of work or pedigree, that, that they just didn't have the experience to do that. Um, and that was our fault. That's not on them. Really, we gave them an opportunity, and we gave people opportunities to kind of move up in the company. But we really, with all the fallout that real estate has had this year and layoffs and stuff, we've been able to find some really awesome directors that
Yeah,
have 10-year, 15-year experience in the space that can come in and help us, answer even just things on comp models. We're always changing comp models, um, and just trying to make sure you never get everything right, but at least that we get some of the basics right.
right, right.
So
No,
that's been hard. And then just the onboarding and sales training is just constant.
yeah,
Uh, if I could, I would love to run every appointment with every person, but you just can't duplicate yourself like that. So you have to be able to instill some of that knowledge that we have as subject matter experts into the next level down, and they have to be able to do it to the next level down. And it's almost like that game of telephone. By the
right,
time to the bottom, it's all been jumbled up and
yeah,
does not the same message.
yeah,
So that becomes a challenge.
yeah. What would you say right now is I guess the one if you could pick one biggest challenge, just one. What is like the biggest challenge right now?
Dispo for
This
us.
okay.
We can get contracts that, that's not been an issue, but selling them has been, our back out rates increased. And,
Yep, yep.
you know,
Everyone's, yep.
so it's just that's number one. We actually had that conversation with our leadership team about a month ago. We went around and everyone wrote it down. Al, he's our CEO. He asked that question. Everybody had to write down what's the biggest challenge. And every single person, there was like six of us, all said dispo.
Mm,
So that's why we've put so much energy into making sure we have the marketplace stood up. It's why we're putting a lot of energy into a central dispo team. That's, how many times did you open the email? We're on that. We're calling you. We're doing a ton of outreach to investors. We're always looking for new investors. I really think, a coaching program where you're bringing in new investors and kind of helping them find deals and analyze deals could help bring it. You have a lot of these older investors, not like old in age, but just more seasoned. There's still deals in there. We've just gotten spoiled with 3.5% interest rates, and like what we think has to be true to be a deal is not always the case. Like it looks different today
100%.
than it did 5 years ago.
Yeah,
So I think having new investors that want to learn the
I
space,
agree.
you can build out through coaching, that want the knowledge and the info, and that's really what we hope to do with some of our builders at Rebuild as well. Is like teach them how to be investors, how to source from Rebuild, how to analyze the deals, and why we put them under contract for the price we did. Because there's stuff in there that we don't move that even Al and Brandon and I are like, man, we should just drop this in our SFR because it's still a deal, and it's we get a conversion, and that way we don't have to back out on it, and we have a happy customer.
Yeah. No, I feel that, man. I feel like that's definitely a challenge right now across the board, right? Is dispoing houses, especially with sellers. You got to get the sellers the pricing that they need and want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, not to say that there tons of those deals, but I agree, right? Like there's new pricing, there's new blood in the streets as far as buyers. And I'm one of those investors, right? Like I've owned a ton of rentals. And so like you get a deal pitched to you and you're like, shit, dude, I'd never buy that. And it's not because it's not worth it, but it's just because 3 years ago I bought something at half the price
That's right.
on that same street. And like I just can't pay double the price on that street, even though the numbers make sense,
That's right.
even though you know what I
Rates
mean?
have gone up, it should make sense, but
There's higher
that's my
comp,
point.
all that, but it's just like, dude, I'm not buying something in that neighborhood for this price. And then you'll have new buyers like, dude, anything in that neighborhood, send my way. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? And so like I totally agree with that. Um, and so right now, like we're going back to the basics, kind of like you're talking about, right? Every time I run comps on a house, right? Because we're doing a lot of underwriting right now. Underwriting
Hmm.
is very important for us. Because
Absolutely.
you need to you need to squeeze every penny out of every house on the seller side to be able to get contract, right? And so what I mean by that is anytime I'm doing underwriting, I'm immediately shooting LLCs if me or my partner are doing some underwriting and we see an LLC that just closed on a cash comp. Hey, let's talk to these people. They're new buyers buying right now in today's market. We,
That's right.
you know what I mean? We need to talk to them. Um, one
One
of
thing we've been doing the reverse wholesale. Like we'll come back from an appointment and be like I had on that creative deal. I also had the one I was talking about for 225. We were at 225. He needed 275. So we came back, started just looking up LLCs on the street and just started reaching out to those people. Like, hey, I got this buyer. He's a little high at 275, but it's just kind of where he is. You own 6 of these duplexes on the street. What are you thinking? They never paid that much for them in their life. But she's like, I can't do it, but I'm an agent and I have an investor in California. She'll buy it. And they wrote an offer for like 285, which netted him his number and got a little piece. So
yeah,
kind of being not just because you can't get the number doesn't mean somebody else isn't willing to pay.
correct, correct.
Need a huge spread. A
Oh,
deal's a
sure.
deal,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
especially if we can
uh,
get title and lending. So
yeah,
I that coming back after the appointment, kind of knowing like that's the number they have to have, and just start looking for local buyers in that area and calling them and saying, I have this, being super transparent. Buyer needs this, I need this, or seller needs this, I need this. Can you do it?
yeah. No, I agree, and that's something. Beginning of this year, we had what we called VIP buyer outreach, right? And we called all of our VIP buyers and we asked them to come to the office and basically just refigure out this market, right? Hey, we're
Yeah.
all of our VIP buyers. If you can come to the office, we want to figure out what's going on. What's your new buy box, right? This was in January, February, so it was a weird time in January, February.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And so it was awesome. They were all down there like, yeah, let's figure this shit out. And one of the biggest things for us was, hey, with your permission, we are going to start calling you on some stuff that we don't necessarily have locked up, right? Because you kind of got to reverse it
Right. You
nowadays
do.
because it's you got the lead. I don't know the exact number, but let me call these 5, 10 people and just basically exactly what you just said. Hey, I just walked this house. I got these picks. Seller's at 85. I'm gonna be straight up. You got to be in those situations, right?
Yep.
Seller's at 85. My number says 75. I can't get them lower. What do you think? And can we squeeze anything out of it? And it has worked. It has
Hmm.
100% worked. Um, and so that's been something that we've had to do right
I
now.
really like doing that with agents as well because agents, it's not like you're charging them. Like if you're calling the actual buyer and you're like, I need to make 10, they're like, oh, would you do it for 5? But if you call an agent and you're like, you're actually trying to make money for the agent and yourself. So
Mm,
you're working together with the
no, I
agent
love that. Yeah.
to bring them to bring a buyer.
Yeah.
And that's worked well too.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's cool, man. So I guess what are some of the things so you're working on the marketplace, you're doing all that. your goal is to be able to have other wholesalers post their deals on there eventually, right?
Yes, because even having 60 active deals or 65, whatever we have, is not enough to get the audience that we're seeking, right? So we want to have, hundreds of wholesalers posting all of their deals on the marketplace, and then we just figure out a transaction fee or something to put it together.
Yep.
Hopefully we can get some lending and title work out of the thing as
Yep.
well. And
Yep.
then having construction and property management and insurance companies also plugged in there, so people could apply for policies, they could apply for management, or at least start that conversation. We always get asked, hey, I love this property in Huntsville, but I don't have any money to manage it down there. I like this one in San Antonio. It's super cute. Do you have any management companies? And we don't. So, not any that we would comfortably refer. So,
Right.
from personal experience. So, having something like that would be, is really the ultimate goal, so that it can all be streamlined.
Yeah. I feel like that is definitely in your path, right? Just kind of thinking in your guys' box as far as the amount of deals that you guys are doing and a way to increase that. I do think that you're spot on when you're talking about creating your own buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with giving them the proper tools, right?
Right.
If you can, everybody wants to invest, but then they have to get the homework of they have the homework of, all right, I got to find this contractor, I got to find the, and leaving it up to them, right, weeds out a bunch of people. And so
Yeah.
if I've noticed a lot of like, that's why there's so many like turnkey companies out there and they
Yes.
crush it, right? And their typical customer is somebody who doesn't know shit about real estate.
Right.
And
They
it's
just looking at the ROI.
yeah, they're looking at the ROI and they're like, hey, I can buy this beautiful turnkey house, freshly renovated, already has a tenant, property management is taken care of. They helped me get the loan. They already got the insurance on it. All I got to do is figure out how to put 20% down, and then I own a rental property. I'm in, right?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
bridging that gap some way or somehow for somebody at your guys' scale, I definitely agree that that's the path,
And
right?
I would really like to buy a coaching program. I don't want to. We can start it from scratch, but again, I think we were in a better position to just, buy one that's doing a couple $1,000,000 a year and figure out a way to tie them into the overall rebuild vision. Because I think that coaching and like you said, creating this new wave of buyers in the marketplace, and then just the coaching. I took a coaching program. I paid a bunch of money for fortune builders back in like 2010 when I first got started.
Hell yeah.
And what I was buying was confidence in
Yes.
that I wouldn't make a mistake. And so having and I only had I think you got 6 1-hour coaching calls. I think I used 3 or 4 of them. I
Yep.
didn't use the full 6. And so just having somebody to call hey, I found this deal. They had the contracts for you and everything to use. They kind of walked you through hey, here's a local title company, call them, and just kind of held your hand through that first deal or two. It gave you the confidence, hey, I'm off now. I'm off to the races and more
Yes.
confident that I know what I'm doing. Because that first deal is why everyone gets analysis paralysis and doesn't take the leap,
Yep.
um, do it, and because it can be nerve wracking because it's a lot of money.
100%. 100%. And yeah, you just need like, I mean, even just yesterday, like I went to a networking event, so I was talking to somebody, and they were like, "Hey, I'm having this idea. I want to do it. What do you think?" And I'm like, "You should do it." And they're like, "All right, I'm gonna do it."
Yeah, exactly. Just a
You
little
already know what
push,
to do.
right?
You just need someone to say, "Yeah, do it." Okay, yeah, yeah. All right, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
And
What?
you take it to the next level and say, call me if you got questions. I'll
Correct.
help you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. No,
You have a relationship for life. You help; they'll never forget you. You help them get that first deal.
yeah. No, that's true, man. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, there's like a turnkey company here in Jacksonville, and if I'm not mistaken, they had some sort of partnership with an education with Fortune Builders, and
Okay.
I think Fortune Builders had a lot of partnerships with turnkey providers.
Oh wow. Okay. So
And
they could take their students and put them into properties.
correct. It's like, hey, I know you want to get into this flipping game. You want to buy, you want to figure this out. But if you're just looking for rentals, this company can help you. And obviously there's some kickbacks and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
That's
I think you're definitely thinking on the right level as far as purchasing some sort of education platform that's guiding flippers, landlords, all that, and then just being
into our funnel.
their back end provider. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And I love that part. I like the
yeah,
coaching. I'm not one to get up on stage. I'm gonna do an event later this year. But I really enjoy that aspect of it, of helping people and teaching just some of the basic stuff. It's not complex. There's only a few key principles that you need to learn and kind of figure out, and then learn your way around the mortgage calculator, and you can
Yeah.
back into a lot of the numbers.
Right, right. That's awesome, man. So what is like your main focus right now on your, I guess, what's your biggest project? What's Rebuilt's biggest project, next milestone?
For
Not
me personally,
Yep.
it's getting the brokerage launched. We've gone back and forth with what do we want it to look like. I think the brokerage could stand on its own as a powerful, just retail operation. But is that something we want to take on, hiring a lot of 1099 agents and growing it out that way? Or is it something that we just want to be kind of the exhaust of this rocket ship that we're trying to take to the moon? Um, because right now that's just the exhaust. It's like, hey, if a cash offer doesn't work, you can list it with our brokerage.
Right, right.
But if we had agents that were in there, and maybe we even do like a flat fee model similar to United, like for anything you bring, you pay a flat fee. But on that gives us someone to hand these leads off to work them. And maybe we get a more favorable split than just like a 25% referral kickback or whatever. And then it stays within the brokerage. So for
Yeah.
me, the biggest challenge right now is trying to make sure that we can, because brokerage creates a lot of compliance and
Oh yeah,
complexity. You just got to be,
it's a whole beast.
your T's are crossed and I's are dotted for
Yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
for me personally, that's it. For rebuild, it's mainly I would say making sure that we're still rolling out the engineering products and the tech stack, and then getting all the new reps that we're bringing in every week trained, and that they're learning, just how to comp deals, run appointments, follow up, and all the principles that it takes to kind of be successful here. That's something, like I said, that the onboarding and training is a constant battle. So hopefully, that's something we can solve in this quarter and next and
Yeah,
beyond. You're always tweaking it.
I gotcha. I gotcha. That's awesome, man. I mean, kudos to you guys. Went from freaking building a rental portfolio, selling college textbooks, and pivoted into becoming, one of the largest wholesale companies nationwide, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, Gonzalo. I appreciate it, man. It's been great hanging out with you too. I hadn't talked to you in a while.
I know, man. It's a funky market, right? I feel like I've just been grinding. Been
Do
been
you underwrite every deal that comes through, or a lot of them?
Not necessarily, not me in general.
Yeah,
Um, but I have been like, we shifted heavily as far as, I had the whole scaled thing,
yeah,
and I bought out my business partner, shrunk the company, and really this year has been like figuring out like how do I want to run it, right?
go slow to go fast, right?
Yeah, like I need to figure out the marketing side. I need to figure out like, do I want to scale and blow back up? Do I want to keep it lean and mean? We have been doing a lot more wholesales and flips this year, and so I've been kind of, because it's a lot smaller. I can put eyes on everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we're now, my goal is to try to maximize a little bit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but here recently, we've seen some uptick in the market, and so I've dumped a lot more, had more confidence to dump a lot more into marketing, and that's produced a shit ton of leads, forcing me to hire some people. But I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm just like, uh, I guess, scared of what I just went through, right? Where it's like
Sure.
I hired a
Little
ton,
PTSD.
a little PTSD of like just hiring a ton of people just because it's there, right? It's like, hey, look,
Right.
I got a ton of leads. Let's, just like you, I have a lot of leads, don't have the proper staff to kind of hone in all those leads and properly talk to them, negotiate with them. Um, so I'm at that point where it's like, where do I go from here? Right? Do I rescale it? Do I keep it lean and mean? I got some great people on the team right now, so I want them to kind of run it in a way, and so I'm kind of figuring that out. You know,
Sure.
yeah.
Do
Every
you like the construction side of it, the fix and flip, and
I like the fix and flip part because we're not at I haven't scaled it to the point where it's a headache, right? What I mean by that is one crew can handle it all,
Okay.
and I got blessed, right? I had a great flipper client of mine. He when the market started getting saturated, it was harder for him to find deals. So he kind of started more of a construction side of his company rather
Oh,
than
nice.
flipping.
Retail, yeah.
Randomly called me and he was like, "Hey, I don't have as many projects as I got, but over the past 2 years I've built up a ton of crews and, I want to keep my guys busy. Can you start shopping my team out to your investors?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm starting to flip some houses, right?" And he's phenomenal because he's a flipper. So
Yeah.
he did construction, staging, and photography in house.
Oh, wow.
So when I turn over a project to him, he renovates it, stages it, and then hands me the professional pictures to just list it. I have a realtor who lists it. And so I'm not at the point where flipping is a headache. I'm not
Yeah, no,
getting
not at all.
too
That's
much,
awesome.
you know what I mean? I'm not doing it like crazy. So I think we have like 4 projects right now
Okay.
going on. So nothing crazy, right? But it's just something where it's honestly like super passive and I love it. And
Yeah, that's sweet.
I don't think if I did more, I don't think I would be that spoiled. You know what I mean? I'd have to figure out some more systems and processes
Yeah.
and whatever. Um, but as of now,
Did you stay on budget?
I'm sorry.
Stay on budget. That's the biggest thing.
Dude, the biggest thing is almost every project he's under budget about $1,000.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
It's good. Obviously, I'm not. I do have to be selective because I'm paying for the convenience, right?
Right.
And so,
Right. Right.
I'm not getting everything at the super cheapest. I'm also,
Right.
I'm not getting charged an arm and a leg, but at the same time, I'm at I pay to say take it and call me when it's done.
Well worth it. I mean, same reason I don't manage my own properties. I
Yeah,
always say I buy the dream, let someone else manage the nightmare.
correct, correct. No, I love it. And so, and he handles the repair requests, right? As you know, that comes up, right? We
Absolutely.
So literally, we just got a repair request yesterday. I just forwarded that email to him. He knows to take care of it, sends me an invoice, and it's done.
That's awesome.
Right. So
Win win.
that's been interesting for me. I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. You know.
When am I going to see you again? You going to any events in the spring?
Um, I'm gonna be in Austin at Boardroom.
Okay. When
Uh,
is that? I'll have to look at the date. I'll hit you up on that offline.
okay. Yeah, hit me up
We
off.
didn't we didn't join boardroom, but I really enjoyed my experience there. We
Yeah.
might look at it again.
Okay. But we definitely got to connect, man.
Yeah, we can get you up to Nashville.
Yeah, man. I love Nashville. Nashville's dangerous, man.
It
Don't know
is.
what it is, but I gotta plan an extra day to recover when I get.
Yeah, you can't come. Don't you have like a new baby or?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't come home like acting like you've been in Nashville on a bachelor party or anything.
correct, correct. That's why I gotta stay an extra day and blame it on you.
That's right. There you go.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. How can people get in touch with you if anybody's watching, listening? How can they get in
Sure.
touch with you and learn more about Rebuild?
The easiest way is just my email, scott@rebuilt.com. Super simple, scott@rebuilt.com. I'm not great on social media. I need to do better. And I'm trying to do better and do more things like this with you. But that's the easiest way. I'll respond on Facebook, but I have an Instagram account, but I don't really post anything. But I'm going to start doing better. You can mark my words.
All right, man. I'll hold you
Scott,
accountable.
thank you.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, everybody who tuned in. I'm sure if you tuned in late, you're gonna want to rewatch this. You can find this recording on my Facebook or on our YouTube channel, the Cash Geeks Network. Scott, thank you so much for doing this, being an open book, dropping nuggets to the audience. I really appreciate it. And with that being said, I'm G, and I will see you guys next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm out.